you want to wait a minute? Oh, hi, Jen.
Yeah, I think we should give it a few.
Okay,
How's everyone doing today?
good.
Good? It's nice to see all of your faces. I'm really having a hard time believing, though, that it's June.
Me too.
Well, it's gloomy out, so it must be June now.
Well, I can say in Rancho Bernardo that the sun finally came out, so.
Oh. Not in the college area. It's still pretty gloomy here.
That's the one benefit to living inland. Obviously, I live far away from, not far, but a good distance from campus, and have to travel. But I get the sun sometimes when we don't on campus. Yeah, I was thinking about how it's been pretty much a year since we hosted that training over at HDH when we had a bunch of presenters come together and we highlighted the different ways that you could be sustainable on campus. And that seems like it was so long ago. It doesn't feel like a year. But here we are, graduation next week. And the future.
Hopefully we're back on campus in the fall. It sounds like we'll be back on campus in the fall. So.
I think so.
Yeah.
We've all done a good job of following guidelines and.
Well, they want to do this testing for all the students and the staff, and I guess those tests so far have gone fairly successful. So, yeah, that will kind of probably be the norm in the fall.
It's a new way of life, right?
Yeah.
I should know this. Who did we decide was going first, Michelle or Gary? Okay, Michelle.
I think me, but I'm okay either way.
Okay, and you're able to share your screen. That's okay.
Gary tried it. I should have tried too before. Let me try real quick.
I can share my screen. I don't know about her.
Can everyone see my screen?
No, we see. Well, yes, but. Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Did you have a PowerPoint too or no?
No, I was just going to do a demonstration and a walk through and kind of talk through what we're trying to accomplish by this, and also give everyone kind of like what we've seen during the past couple months with respect to our energy and water use.
Okay.
But are we started?
No, I think I'll just say a few more things.
Okay.
Can you stop your screen share for just a second? I just wanted to make sure it worked before we. Yeah, our Zoom meetings are no different than what an in-person meeting would be. Sometimes scattered and unorganized. But that's us. If you are tuned into this, you are attending currently the June Staff Sustainability Network meeting. So welcome. I'm Jen Bowser, the Sustainability Engagement Manager. Sometimes I forget who I am, sorry. I realized last month that because we were so new to this, and I think the environment was a little awkward and unfamiliar, I completely forgot to do introductions. And I think that's one of the strengths of our group, is getting to know who our sustainability community members are. So if you're okay with it, I would like to try to call each of you out. I think that's the most organized way for you to say your name and your position, what department you're in. And if you're joining us for the first time, welcome. We've been an organization for now 5.5 years. We are a staff affiliate group, part of the Staff Association. And we try to host events throughout the year to really engage our members in ways that they can be sustainable on campus, which is really the focus of my position in the Utilities and Sustainability Department, but also trying to share with you ways that you can be sustainable in your personal life. So without further ado, unless my board members would like to chime in with anything else. I see Diana and Daniel and Cindy. on this screen. We have two screens because we have so many people on right now, which is exciting. Okay, well, let's start with our board members. So Diana, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I am Diana Henderson. I am with Campus Planning, and I am actually, they call, the handle that I have for my job is space analyst, but I'm actually spearheading the movement toward a GIS on campus, Geographic Information System. So, and I got involved with the board almost as soon as I came to the university, which is a little over a year ago.
And Kate?
Hi everyone, I'm Kate and I work for the Physical Sciences Division on campus as a writer, editor, communications type. And because of that, I'm also helping SSN out with our communication programs. So the newsletters, Facebook posts, and our website, I'm currently managing that. So if you have ideas for sustainability news, we'd love to include that in our newsletter. And we're looking for summer ideas. And right now, Diana and Jen and I are currently, one of our upcoming projects that we kind of want to float by everyone is the idea of starting a staff garden. So we have a lot of student gardens on campus, but we're exploring along with the ever talented Chris Johnson, the idea of starting a staff garden on campus. So we'd love to have your input on that, and we'll be sending out more information soon.
And Daniel?
Hello, everybody. I work in the Teaching and Learning Commons, and I joined the Staff Sustainability Network board this year as the transportation chair. So I'm really interested in transportation, particularly MTS bus riding, and hopefully one day soon trolley riding. So not as much going on at the moment now that most people are working remotely, but soon we'll be doing some more outreach for that.
And Cindy?
Hi everyone, I have my camera off because I'm having lunch and I don't want to subject anyone to that. But I'm Cindy, I'm the membership chair and I work for the Teaching and Learning Commons. And I think I'm the most recent member to join the board. I'm very interested in sustainable eating and I love backpacking and hiking. So if you ever want to chat about any of that, feel free to reach out to me.
All right, so those are our board members. Now I'm just gonna go across my screen. So Leslie, you look muted, but I don't know if you can unmute yourself.
Yes,
there you
I
are.
can. Look at that.
Hi.
Hi. I just started working in university communications in January, and I work for Pierre's organization and Gary's organization, and I've worked with Michelle before and also Gary, so I'm just here to learn and further engage in all the interesting things that are going on so I can share them with other people. That's about it.
Thank you for joining us.
All right,
and
Jen too. Hi. Yeah, I've worked with
hi.
you too.
It's okay. Okay, Alma?
Hello,
Hi.
Alma Mendoza from IPPS. Jen and I have crossed paths since she started. Fortunately and unfortunately for her, possibly. So I'm just here to hear what it's all about. I do a lot of collaborative efforts with Anthony Singleton, that is a sustainable procurement. I don't know what's his real title. I don't even know what my real title is most of the time, but I just want to learn a little bit more. That way I can think outside the box and how we can help a little bit more when it comes to contract management and commodity management.
That's great. Thanks for joining. Kim Kane, hello.
Hi all. I work at Geisel Library and I'm very supportive of the SSN. I'm really happy to be here and just to connect with everybody that's also has a love of sustainability.
One of our founding members. Octavio.
Oh, hi. I'm new here.
Welcome.
Thank you. Attended the last one as well, but I work as a manager for two ORUs, Center for Memory and Recording and Center for Energy. I got interested in this organization because I started doing my own kind of like gardening and composting. So it's really cool to hear everybody's ideas and other activities.
You found the right place.
Thank you.
Esther.
All right, unmuted. Okay, I'm working in environmental health and safety. I try to live a sustainable life as much as possible, and there's always more to learn to be more sustainable. And I do like backpacking, and like hiking and camping, and all that stuff's on hold right now, which is a bummer. But hopefully we'll get back to it soon.
Thank you. I love your portrait photo. Jamie.
Okay. Hi, I'm Jamie Schultz. I work with housing and dining and hospitality. And I've been a member for a while. I just keep coming in and out when I can. And I also co-chair our sustainability committee at HDH. So I like to be able to bring back to them whatever I learn here. And
that's fantastic.
I'm not on video because I'm also teaching my daughter. She's 6, so I'm going back and forth with that too.
That's okay. That's just how life is right now. We really appreciate that you could join us.
Great. Thank you so much.
And Diana? Other Diana, sorry.
Hi. Hi, so I'm Diana, and I used to work, Kim, I used to work with you in the library. Hi. So it's a long time. So I work at the Rady School of Management in 2 different departments. One is for Center for Social Innovation and Impact, and we have a few kids who are kids, I call them kids, but they're like undergrads, grads, PhD even, who are working on like social ventures, and a lot of them have like environmental impact. So I just wanted to, see what's going on at the university. So if it's ever a case that I can point them to you guys or as a resource, or you guys can direct them, that'd be great. Hi.
Thanks for joining. Ken Jacoby, how are you?
Hello, everybody. I'm Ken Jacoby. I'm with Environment, Health, and Safety, and I'm part of the Research Assistance Program. I visit labs around campus. Right now, I'm working every other day on campus, every other day at home. And so far, I'm on track to setting a record of full bike trips from home, since I can't play soccer under these conditions, and I don't have to ease up on Thursdays or anything. So every day that I come to work, it's by bike.
That's awesome, Ken. I recognize you sitting at your desk.
Okay, good. I am.
Peter.
Hey everyone, I'm Peter. I just joined the university in January. I'm a researcher at CW3, which is the Center for Western Weather and Water Extremes at Scripps. And yeah, I saw the email for the group, and I'm just excited and learning about what you guys do and potentially getting involved.
That's great. Thanks. Nice to have you. Melissa, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Good. We're just doing introductions.
Yes, I actually overheard Ken. We're in the same office. So I'm Melissa. I'm with Environment, Health, and Safety, and I'm really excited to get more labs to go green, and especially with the packing materials, with the bin that we got over at BSB and then over in our office here as well.
I do owe you an email response. I'm sorry.
No
Hi, Jason. How are you doing? Oh, he's muted. We might skip Jason. Jason's another board member. If you attended last month, you would have seen the presentation that he did with Daniel. I think I got everyone. Did I miss anyone?
Hello,
Okay.
everyone. I'm just getting set up.
That's okay. We were just doing introductions. All right. So for our two presenters today, one is Michelle Perez. She happens to be my boss. So welcome, Michelle. And she's going to talk to us about what is happening on campus for our utilities and show us the energy and water dashboards that are available on Blink for everyone to access. And Gary Oshima, who is our 2020 staff, Outstanding Staff Sustainability Awardee. I imagine a lot of you do follow us on social media and are pretty well connected with our communications. And so you may have heard that we had to postpone our award ceremony that was supposed to be last Wednesday. We did have some technical difficulties, and so we are awaiting our video to be posted on our website. And when we have that new date, we'll share it with all of you. But we'll hear from Gary today about why he received this year's award. I think Michelle is going to go first. So unless anyone has any additional comments, questions, we can just jump in.
Great. Thank you everyone for having me here today. This is a great group. Just kind of hearing everyone and their introductions. It's so wonderful to have this many people, first of all, in a meeting, and then also the diversity of where you all are working and your what's kind of brought you here. It makes this group so much more special because of that. And we're all united because we are passionate about sustainability. So thank you so much for being here. I will try to get to my presentation without further ado. So today I wanted to give you all an overview of what we're trying to do in informing our campus community on our energy and water use on campus. I will start out, just because maybe this is one question you might all have, is we do know, of course, that due to COVID, it has shown a positive impact on our sustainability areas. For instance, in April, we did see about 8% drop in electricity, almost a 50, I think it's more like 46% drop in water use. And then in waste generation, it was around 50% drop in waste generation. So it's pretty clear the impact we as individuals have on our campus. So as we do return, just being mindful, I know I'm speaking to this group that understands this, that the amount of impact we have each individual. And we see it in our utility meters. We see it in the waste, the bills coming in from EDCO. So today we're really going to focus on energy and water. And my daughter's singing in the background. She has this tendency when I start talking on Zooms to start singing. Like, I swear she doesn't do that until I start talking. So it's just hopefully she'll go in and out. So I am going to share with you my screen, which shows, can everyone see the energy and water dashboard? I know we're muted.
Yes.
Great. So
it's cut off at the bottom for me.
Yeah, I don't see the full screen.
You can't see the full screen?
Yeah, I can't see the full screen either.
Yeah, Michelle. Yeah, there you go. It's because the top is like a fixed.
Oh, got it.
And then those individual, the energy and water use graphs are the ones that move.
Yeah. Sorry. So the page is it's not just one. You have to really scroll through. So I'll do my best to let me know if your view of the screen is impacted, and I'll try to scroll and move my screen accordingly.
Can we go to that link? Is that available to everybody?
Yeah, let me post that in. Let me do that right now. I'll post that in the, how can I post that in? the chat, right? Here it is. Okay, I just posted in the chat. So if you want to go there yourselves, and because you're not, either you just want to be able to drive or you think you could see it better, go for it. So the purpose of this energy and water dashboard, of course, is to inform everyone on how we're doing in our consumption and on campus when it regards to energy and water. So this has been up for about a year. It was launched June 2019. And it really is a great tool for you all to be able to look at both the high level campus and also individual water down to the individual building, how you're doing within each buildings we're doing. So everything here is based on lots of meters we have at campus. We have approximately 1,000 AMR, which is 1,000 automatic meter reading meters on campus, which basically feed into our system. So much of the data you see is actually being fed in at 15-minute intervals. So it's relatively real time. Some of the information you see is more month end, depending on the type of meter that is installed. So we have a variety of meters covering our campus, from electric, we have chilled water and high temperature water to condition and heat and cool our buildings, and also water meters as well. So what I'll do is kind of drive through each level of information we have. The first information that you see when you come to our website is the total electricity use. So this first screen really kind of illustrates how are we doing as a campus as a whole. What I like about this is really gives you a quick snapshot. How are we trending over time? And this is a bad data point, I believe. But if you want to go back further in time, you can easily drag. So there is a little icon at the bottom of the screen. You can drag it back in time and kind of see how you've done comparatively in a quick snapshot. So it basically gathers an accumulation of all our meter data on electricity right here in one snapshot. The next is how are we doing with respect to the energy that's being used to cool and heat our buildings, and also the energy to provide process cooling and process heating, like for experiments or anything we need to do related to our labs. So it's a different type of energy, and we track it separately as well. So this is another way of looking at it, broken down by chilled water and high temperature water. If you go further down, you can see our water. This one, it's pretty dramatic, the drop from April, as I mentioned earlier. It was about 50% drop from the previous April. And you can see we also break it down by reclaimed water and potable water. The majority of water use on campus, I'll just kind of pause on this. The majority of water use used to be at our potable water use used to be at our central plant. Now, since we use so much, we use reclaimed water, we've significantly reduced potable water. Of course, we want to reduce total water, but one thing we are proud of is that we have significantly reduced our potable water since switching over to reclaimed water in irrigation and also at our central utilities plant. I'm just going to pause right there. Any general questions on the very high level campus breakdown of electricity, chilled water, high temperature water, and water use?
Yes, this is Catherine. There's a couple questions in the chat about electric use.
Oh, I'm seeing that.
October 2019 and then November 2018.
Trying to scroll back up.
Perhaps the data was reported. in a different month than it should have been?
Yeah, it's probably bad data. I wrote that down. There's a couple things I noticed too before we jumped on that I made note of. So make sure to go back. Likely, yeah, we didn't see, that's not real. That's data that at our energy cap, and you could see energy cap here in the top right of this particular graph. It's feeding from an online platform, and so maybe there's something wrong there from the integration from the platform to Blink. I'm not sure, but I can look back on that. Yeah, that's probably not real. Any other questions? Oh, I see a question that's leading into my next part of my demonstration. Any areas on campus that use more electric water than average? Yes. We already know, just from how we analyze and look at our buildings every day and every month, is that of course our lab buildings are our most intensive buildings with respect to energy use, because they require a lot of ventilation for health and safety. And because of that, it uses a lot of energy to meet those regulations and safety concerns. And we see that in the increased electricity and chilled water and high temperature water, all the commodities, all those areas they have the most in our lab buildings. But if you are more curious and want to dive in, which is a good segue, you can look by different parts of campus. So one way of kind of slicing the data, you can look at the different groupings of buildings, and we had done that just because of what that question kind of related to that question. People want to compare maybe how their areas are doing or how is their building doing compared to another similar building. So the first type of breakdown that we grouped to have its own dashboard was by like you can think of it like either vice chancellor area or customer area. So you could see we have it broken up by academic affairs, health sciences, etc. Academic affairs have so many buildings, so we had to actually break them up into 3 groups. So if you were to go into group 1 of academic affairs, this is more high level. Once again, you'll see all academic affair buildings within that group totalized. So it's just another way of looking at it. So you're not looking at the whole campus. And it's similar information that you saw in the previous. There's a little bit of cost applied here. So if you're curious on cost, and then water, etc. And it does lay out for the particular buildings that are in that subset, kind of how are they ranked amongst that group. And you can see there's one that kind of sticks out in this group. If depending on the month, you can kind of scroll over. We have Atkinson Hall, supercomputer. So Atkinson Hall being in our engineering school. And of course, it'd be supercomputer. So it's not surprising that those 2 kind of pop up amongst their peers, or I should say group of buildings.
Do you know why these buildings were grouped together?
It was more just by I think vice chancellor area. You'll see we also group them by type of building. So like type of use, which I feel is a little more useful, but we thought that certain, depending on the audience, they would be interested in seeing, for instance, like housing would want to see all of housing's buildings. So I'll just go there. I know we have someone from HDH. I think we can scroll down to that comparison. It's just one way of, depending on who's looking at it, if it's an administrator, et cetera, they might want to see in their vice chancellor area who's using more energy, et cetera. Another way of looking at it, so if you pop back, is by type, like I mentioned. So if you were to pick, let's say I'm going to pick non-complex buildings, group 2. This now is by type of building, so similar in the sense of maybe it's an academic building or it's a non-lab building, and we would think that they would have similar energy types of use. So this first breakdown of buildings is by energy use per square foot. So ranking it not just by gross use of energy, we're breaking it per square foot. So it ranks the buildings in a way that's a little bit more fair based on square footage. And then you have similar graphs as before, but now it's just by type. Gonna jump back. And then the last is by individual building. Let's say you really wanted to see individually how you're doing by each of those energy areas or water commodities. So if I were to pick, let's see, does anybody want to pick? I heard someone that was working in CMMR. Is that correct? Just picking CMR.
Yeah.
Yes, great.
Yeah.
So the first screen, a lot of this information was pre-populated through Energy Cap and was found through FIS, is just some general information. And then for CMMR, it breaks down further cost. So this is just, this first block is year to year. So the dark and thicker and wider bar is last year, and the blue is this year. And this is on cost. So the one thing, of course, that is a caveat is if costs went up, of course the cost, like per unit cost goes up, then it would affect the total cost. So it's just one way of looking at it. As you can see, the commodity cost per unit of energy went up. So it makes sense that the cost went up. Maybe it wasn't just because they used more energy per se, but there is a relationship there. Is there any more questions? Okay, I see questions. Just want to pause. Water uses, how much water is used as a result from less toilet? We couldn't get it down to that level. We only have, so I'm asking Esther's question on the water use. How much do we know? Is it because of less toilet use? Unfortunately, we don't have it broken down by type of use water meters to that level. We just have domestic water meters and industrial water meters. No, okay, and then Cindy asked on that note, any tips on how we can continue responsible electric and water usage? I love seeing the reduced usage and interested on what we can do as individuals to support that. I love that. We are definitely obviously want to take this as an opportunity to educate the public based on the information I presented. And Jen, you could probably chime in on what you've done or are doing right now to kind of provide and remind people on those responsible practices. Did you want to chime in?
I can.
Or you want to just wait to the end?
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, go ahead. What? Me?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Cindy, we'll get to your question. Jen is on it.
Well, I can answer it now. I mean, we've been doing weekly video tips that we've been posting on social media, and they're available on a YouTube playlist channel. But we're really working on figuring out how we can engage people as they start to return to work. And so our first immediate audience has been researchers and those working in labs, just because that started to happen on Monday. And I think everyone knows we do have a green labs program, and we also certify green offices. We had started a pilot program for engaging professors in classrooms, which now, because of the pandemic, needs to be rethought and restructured, because we expect that the classroom is going to be a virtual mixed use environment. So I hope that helps.
Thanks, Jen. And I'm sure this group might have some ideas if we have time after Gary's to talk about ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. So just to wrap up really on the building level data, and these are, we get into kind of more of the weeds here, but if folks are interested, and I was talking about how some meters we are able to take, in this case, electricity is shown here. For every 15-minute interval, we're able to take a data point of how we're doing. So this is what it's illustrating in this far left, and this is week to week. So you can see how we did this week compared to last week. And you could still see here, it's a little bit more use this week compared to last week. And if you scroll down, similarly for, you have other data and high temperature water, chilled water, and regular water as well, meaning like potable and industrial water total. Okay, scroll back here. We know that we need to improve upon getting the word out on this, and we also wanted to do better on making it more user-friendly, on providing maybe more useful information on how to like Esther was asking, how to use the information to ensure we're staying proactive in keeping our energy use and water use down. So this is really kind of was our first attempt of getting just the information out there, but we do know this next year, we really want to use this to do more. So we're really open to your ideas on what we can do better. And first, we're gonna make sure that this is better tied to sustainability on our website, not in a, we might keep it here in Blink, but making sure that it's also accessible through the sustainability website. But really are open to your ideas on how to make it better. I see more questions. Okay, I see that Jen posted her video tips. Thanks, Jen. So that is what we've been doing. She's been doing with her team. Cindy mentioned if you're thinking about how to do energy efficiency, we're all working from home. Oh, great. Thanks, Cindy. That's a great resource. Any other thoughts or questions that I might be able to answer? Thanks. I will stop share.
Thank you, Michelle.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I guess I should mention that our video tips are meant to address behaviors that are both at home and on campus. So things that are transferable. The one we issued yesterday was about cooling your home efficiently. And so setting your thermostat at a higher temperature, and also if you're able to use a portable or a ceiling fan to cool yourself, that you really can conserve energy and save money by doing that.
Great. Thanks for having me, you guys. Gary, I think you have the floor.
I think you might have to stop sharing your screen so
you're right.
Can start though. Okay.
You have the floor, but not really. Yes, now you have.
All right.
Welcome, Gary.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. I'm thrilled to be here. Let me see if I get myself going here. All right. So we'll start this. So actually, I just want to thank everybody for having me and listen to what my little my pitch is. I want to tell you a little bit about our road. I think a lot of you already know about it. We're kind of running out of time, so I'll try to run through here real quick and see if we can speed things up. So the asphalt road. September of 2018, we became the first location in the U.S. to install this recycled plastic asphalt road. It's a small project, only about couple hundred feet, but it's one that hopefully lead to many more miles of roads being used. Most of you probably know about the road. It's over there it's a section of Miramar Street that leads into the Mesa graduate housing off of Regents. If you haven't driven by, you might stop by and take a look. As you can see from this picture, it looks just like a road. It doesn't look any different. It's flat and it's black and it's smooth and it's holding up very well. Without going into a whole lot of detail on asphalt manufacturing, basically asphalt is about 95% aggregate, sand, gravel, that kind of stuff, and about 5% of it is binder, and that's what holds it all together. And typically binder is made out of a petroleum product called bitumen. It's sticky black tar. So what this company in the UK came up with is a recycled plastic substitute for part of that bitumen. So really what we're talking about is taking a little bit of recycled plastic and replacing some of that petroleum in the roads. The result is actually a better performing road. We're using less petroleum product, and of course we're using recycled plastic. So it's pretty much a win-win everywhere we go. Today I really want to address the most asked questions and then kind of address what's really more important for the rest of this campus. Do you all see this bar here in the middle? I see a big bar in the middle of my screen. I hope you don't see that. All right, so I
don't see it.
Okay. So I've had an opportunity to talk to a lot of people about this road. It's kind of nice. One of the nice things is that people from all over the world really have heard about our road and they want to talk to me about it. And so I'm willing to talk to everybody. But invariably, it comes down to three questions. How much was used? How much did it cost? And how long is it going to last? So I will real quickly run by those real quick. Cost-wise, or how much we used, that's a picture of the road from the top of the graduate building. That's my cell phone being hung out over scaffolding from 8 stories up. We had 200 tons of asphalt actually being used, and of that, 2,000 pounds is plastic. Okay, so a ton of plastic sounds like a lot. It's a little hard sometimes to understand how much a ton of plastic is. You can see a picture of a pallet of plastic, but it really doesn't mean much. So what the manufacturer told me is he put it in something that I could understand a little bit more. And he said a ton of plastic is equivalent to about 72,575 plastic water bottles. And I couldn't believe that. That number blew me away. I had to do the calculations on how much a plastic bottle weighed and actually do the numbers. But it's true, it's 72,000 bottles of plastic, which I was very impressed with. So I went a step further. I said, well, okay, if our road, our little street took 72,000 bottles, how many bottles would go in a mile? And the total I came up with was 1,532,784 bottles per mile. And I thought that was a pretty impressive number. It's kind of anecdotal. Our road is really narrow. It's only 3 lanes, it's 2 bike lanes. If it were wider, there'd be more bottles. But that just kind of gives you an idea of the amount of plastic that we're talking about. So the next question that comes up always is, how much does it cost? To be honest, the material cost is negligible. We haven't come up with a final number yet, but you got to realize that the binder is a very small portion of the cost of the road. And we're talking about replacing some of the binder with plastic, which is similar cost. So really the install cost is going to be percentage points, really. We think it's going to be less, but the final numbers for us have not come out yet. For our road, McReaver, the company from the UK, they donated the plastic. So when people say, what's the cost? How can we save money? I say, well, get your plastic for free. That's the best way. But assuming you can't do that, we are sourcing our plastic domestically now. And the thought is that once things really get sorted out and the market straightened out, it's going to be less costly than using bitumen. And I'll address that in a little bit later. But I think the important thing to note is that the real cost savings, we think, is not in material and installation costs, it's in the maintenance costs. And that's the thing that we're finding that cities and counties are really interested in. The road seems to be holding up much better than normal. So if you don't have to replace your road every 20 years and you only have to replace them every 25 or 30 years, that's a big savings for them. If the road does not need as much repair work, obviously that's a huge issue for them. Not only because the cost of repair, but also it's just, many times, as you probably know, when roads start falling apart, they just don't get fixed. So we just have streets that are in bad repair. So when we get a product that lasts longer, that's always a big benefit to the cities and the counties that are putting it in. So it's not only like a dollar value, it's really a value of quality of our streets. And the other question is, how long does it last? We don't really have a number on that yet. So far, it's held up better than standard asphalt. This is a little picture of our street. I took this about 6 months ago. So you can see there is a line with our recycled plastic or our recycled asphalt and standard asphalt. This is just a small sample, but ours went down about 6 months after the standard did. And you can see that the standard has some cuts in it. It's got some dents in it. In ours, if you go out there and walk around, it's still in pretty good shape. It's coming up on 2 years. No breaks, no cracks, no ruts. It's really holding up well. I think really maybe the better measure of performance is the first 2 places in the world that they really used this technology was in the UK, because that's when it was developed. And ironically, the Middle East, in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Both those installations went in about 5, almost 6 years ago now. And both of them have been performing very well, better than what standard asphalt would be expected to last. And it's significant because obviously in the UK, it's cold and wet and icy, which is bad for asphalt, but it's still holding up well. And in Abu Dhabi in the Middle East, it's hotter than heck, and that's not good for asphalt either. It dries out quickly, but there again, in that condition, it's holding up very well. So in our limited test as to how well this holds up, so far it's been doing very well. We would expect roads to hold up 20 to 25 years, so we really won't know for sure until we get out that long. But so far as we can tell, these roads have been performing actually even better than was originally expected. So that's a good thing. So that's kind of the good positive numbers, and that's kind of the success that we've had with that road. I did want to share some of the more sober figures. Using recycled plastic on the roads is not the answer. It's only part of the answer to the question of what we need to do with our current plastic waste. The truth is there's no single answer. There's no one solution that's going to rid us of all our current and future plastic waste. It's going to take a lot of answers and a lot of progress to start tackling some of our waste problems. It's estimated that 2.4 million tons of PET plastic are discarded in the US every year. Worldwide, it's estimated that 9 million tons of plastic are added to our oceans. That adds to the 167 million tons of plastic already in the ocean. And that was actually numbers from 3 years ago. So presumably it's even worse. So really, it's a bigger issue than just what we can solve with our asphalt road. It's just one solution. If you think 1.5 million bottles per mile is a big number, which I thought was a big number. If you look at the amount of 9 million tons of plastic, what that would result to in a road, it would be equal to 653 billion plastic water bottles, okay? That's billion with a B. That number is just staggering to me. And that's how much plastic that we estimate is put into the oceans every year. So obviously it's a huge, huge issue. That amount of plastic, if you want to convert it to roads, it'd be like building a road 1 million miles of road every year. And that's like building a road to the moon and back twice. We don't have enough streets on our campus to do that. So the asphalt road is one of the solutions that we can do, but obviously we've got many, many other. Really the big fish here is our most critical problem, our most obvious problem, our most daunting problem is that we simply make too much waste plastic with no responsible way to recycle it. You know, for many years, the US and other countries, we sold all our recycled plastic to China. It was easy, and they took it and they burned it or buried it or whatever. We have many years, for decades, we've kind of adapted our habits to recycle plastic. It's kind of a normal everyday thing. When I was a kid, we didn't do that. We just threw it all in the garbage. Now the blue buckets are everywhere and it's just normal. So we've spent the last couple decades teaching ourselves to separate our plastic. But really, what we really need to do is teach ourselves to use less plastic. That's really the big issue that we need to address. And that is something that is going to be an ongoing problem, and it's going to be something that I think is difficult for our society to really get a hold of. And, you know, all of you here with this group, I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir, you understand that, but I think it's important to notice that it's not just figuring out a way to reuse our plastic. The big question is a way to stop using so much, creating so much plastic. So for our project, you know, what was the big success of it? It's a small project. It's the only one we have on campus so far. So it may not be that big a deal, but it was the first project in the United States, and it really got the ball rolling. When we first put this in, we talked to the manufacturer and decided that, you know, the two things that are really going to have to happen to make this successful is, number one, we have to source the plastic domestically. It's great to say, hey, we get recycled plastic on roads, but it doesn't make any sense to get it from the UK. I mean, we've got plenty of bad roads, and we certainly have plenty of plastic. So I was telling them, you got to have manufacturing facilities here in the United States. And the second one is, you know, it's fine that you come to the campus. We've got some roads, but really the target that we're looking for are cities and governments and bigger agencies that are talking about miles and miles of road. And we don't have that many roads on campus. We aren't going to make that big a difference. In order to address those cities, you're going to have to do some testing, and you're going to have to get buy-in from Department of Travel, Department of Transportation, and Caltrans, and the different agencies that really regulate that industry. So what have we done? You know, there's not a lot of miles of roads down yet. There are a growing amount, but we have made, I think, significant progress in both those two areas. Domestically, the first domestic manufacturer is actually here in San Diego. Well, they're up in Vista. The second one was up in Northern California. There are a number of them now across the country who are going to manufacture and source their plastic locally. The idea is that there'll be pretty much regional suppliers. So like the guys in San Diego will just serve Southern California, or it may get to a point where they just serve the San Diego area. I don't know. There may be another one in LA. The San Francisco one is to service Northern California. Next Tuesday, there's actually a gentleman, our group of coming in to visit from Colorado, the Pueblo, Colorado. They're starting out their manufacturing facility there. They've got their sources in Colorado. So that's actually a big hurdle that we've crossed. And I think McGreever has gone around the country. I don't know exactly how many facilities they've set up now. I think it's getting close to 12, but the idea would be that you've got to set up manufacturing in this country that's using plastic, that's using our own recycled plastic, and ideally locally. You know, we don't even want to use recycled plastic from back east. Like in San Diego, let's use San Diego plastic. In San Francisco, let's use Bay Area plastic. So that's the goal, and they are moving towards that. and making pretty good progress as far as I can tell. Like I said, 10 to 12 manufacturing facilities already, and it seems like there's more, every month there seems to be more people interested. So I like that. The other issue was to address some of these authorities. Every city thinks it's a great idea in concept, but they don't want to be the guinea pig. They want somebody else to say, yeah, this product works. So actually we've made quite a bit of progress in addressing, well, for California, the Caltrans has run some tests. Their tests are quite extensive, so they're not finished yet. But I think so far the preliminary preliminary tests are very positive. And I think once they kind of buy into it and maybe not approve, but at least acknowledge the technology and acknowledge the viability of it, then I think there are a lot of cities that are really anxious to give it a try. But nobody wants to be the first one to do it untested. There are tests done in other parts of the world, which McGreever tried to tell me, oh yeah, we've done tests. And I told him, you know what? Tests in Australia aren't going to do any good for the United States. You got to be able to conduct those tests domestically here in the US and pass our standards. And once you get past that, I think the market for this product is going to really open up. So that's a good thing. I think we've really got the ball rolling, and I'm proud to say that we've made a lot of progress there. What's it mean for UCSD? People have asked me, this road's 250 feet long. Okay, it's a ton of plastic. Really, it's not that big a deal. I mean, we didn't save any money. We're not changing our carbon footprint. A ton of plastic is great, but it's not really going to move the needle on plastic. Why is it important? And this is what I think is a little more pertinent to get out, and the message to get out. Yes, UC San Diego is one of the leading research universities in the country. We've got fields from nanotechnology to climate science to social mobility, marine biology, all across the spectrum. We're the hub for cutting edge technology and the testing of unproven theory. We're located in the heart of the most densely concentrated biotech communities in the world. Innovation, invention, and discovery, those are the hallmarks of what makes this university thrive. It's core to our campus, it's integral to everything we do. So I think maybe the most important mission is that it teaches our students to open their minds to new ideas and new possibilities, and reach beyond the status quo and search for new answers. And I think it's that attitude that should come from not just the classrooms and the labs. I think it needs to come from everywhere on campus. No one knows what idea may trigger some other idea that leads to something bigger. The mindset has to really, the mindset for looking for opportunities really should permeate the campus on every facet of college life. So the reason why it's important that we built a recycled plastic asphalt road is not so that our students can go out and build better roads, although it would be nice if they could. The reason it's important is because it teaches them to think outside the box, to build a better mousetrap. It teaches them to think of a better way to do things. Innovation is everywhere, and it shouldn't just live in the classroom. It's a responsibility, I think, of everybody in the university community to remember to promote that ideal. We don't have many classes in it, and we don't offer any degrees, but I really believe that the ability to wonder and experiment and invent are some of the greatest lessons that we can be learned. Like I said, you all in this group, I'm kind of preaching to the choir. I think that is one of the strengths of the sustainability group, is that is really the focus, is we want to create an atmosphere across campus, not just in the classrooms, that there's a way of living. So that's, to me, is a more important thing than building the road. I mean, building the road was great, but really it's promoting the idea that there's better ways. We can think outside the box. Each fall we get 10,000 new kids on campus. Hopefully they'll be coming to campus this fall. They're young, they're bright, they're eager to learn. we've got 4 years to influence how they're going to look at the world and how they're going to make their mark. And after that, they go off in 10,000 different directions, and they're going to shape the world in their own way. And who knows what small idea or thoughts lead them to greater things. We'll never know exactly how much of an impact we had on their lives, or even if we did have an impact on their lives. But I think it's important to remember that's our responsibility, that those 4 years are positive and responsible. And if they can come away from the university with that feeling, then I think we've done our job. That's all we can do. The road starts here, and our road is paved in recycled plastic. So that's kind of my pitch. I think the importance is really the idea of pushing new ideas, whether it's recycled plastic or any other energy, sustainable, green practices. We need to really foster that spirit for these students on campus. So when they go on after their campus life, they go ahead and spread it for us. And that's kind of my main message of the day. So with that, does anybody have any particular questions? I haven't been checking the chat box here. Let me see.
Hi, Gary. I have a question. This is Catherine.
Sure.
The traditional asphalt, it doesn't smell particularly good.
No.
Is this the same as well, I presume?
Actually, that's an added benefit, which I didn't even know. When we were approaching the asphalt installers, one of the things is that it goes down at a lower temperature. And to me, that means nothing. It's like, well, yeah, you don't have to put it goes down at 240 degrees to 360. And the installers kind of perked their ears up and said, what is that? And I said, yeah, well, you don't have to heat it up as much. And I said, well, that's huge for us. And because, I thought, why? What difference does it make? Like, well, we got to keep the stuff hot when it's out there. So if it goes down a lower temperature, it's less of a cost for us to keep it warm. I thought, oh, that's great. So we went out there and installed it. We put it in, and the guy was telling me, do you notice anything? I said, well, what do you mean? You're putting in a radius. Do you smell anything? And I said, no, not really. He said, usually when you put down asphalt, you get that heavy, heavy oil smell. And the reason why is because the asphalt's going down at a higher temperature than the flash point of oil. So what you're smelling is the oil is burning off as they put it down. He said, since we don't have to put it as hot, we're below the flash point of oil and it's not burning off. So you don't smell it. And I didn't notice it until they brought it up. As soon as he mentioned it, I go, yeah, you're right. There's really very little odor at all. So that's a plus. There's less off-gassing during installation. There's also, for them, it's less of a cost to keep the asphalt hot. So there's a benefit for the installers and the manufacturers. We don't necessarily see that cost savings, but that's okay. Anything else?
Gary, we did have a few questions in the chat.
Oh,
I don't know if you want me to read them or if you want to take a look. I was going to share with them the story that CBS 8 had done on you. So
yeah.
I'll put that in the chat now.
Okay.
Although it does not look pretty for whatever reason.
I like the idea of using bottles from, yeah, okay.
The link, not the story. Story's great. The link I just shared doesn't look very pretty. I don't know if
I believe there are
it looks like it might have gotten cut off.
Okay, so somebody's asking about the carcinogens in the regular roads. There is, it's plastic. So there are, one of the big issues with environmental concerns, people want to know that the plastic won't leach out into the environment and adversely impact the environment. The answer to that is no. And the reason why is because the plastic gets melted in and really becomes homogeneous with the product. If you look at asphalt closely, you can see little rocks and little gravel and maybe even little pieces of sand that in theory could break off and wash off into the environment. But there are no pieces of plastic. The plastic's been melted and become homogeneous with the road. The analogy that they have told me makes sense. It's like trying to take flour out of bread, okay? We use flour to make bread, but once it's made, it's a different form, and there's no way to take flour out of the bread. It's already been mixed in, cooked in all together. So it's the same thing with plastic on this asphalt. Now, yes, if you broke off a piece of concrete or broke off a piece of asphalt and left on the side of the road and it broke down, yeah, there's going to be the carcinogens that are going to go back into the environment. But as far as wearing off and running off or pieces of plastic coming off, that won't happen because there's really no piece of plastic left. So I'm not sure if that answers your question about the carcinogens in the regular roads. There are some, plastic's a petroleum product too. So, we can't forget that. It's not like it's pure, but there's no danger of really pieces of plastic breaking off and adversely impacting the environment. Is there another one here? Doesn't use petroleum material. Okay, so concrete doesn't use petroleum material as a binder. That's true. And actually a lot of freeways in the United States or at least in California are made in concrete because they last longer. And that's true. Concrete's doesn't have petroleum products in it. It's kind of a different animal because concrete is way more expensive. It lasts a lot longer. That's why we use it on freeways. If decision to use concrete versus asphalt isn't at this level. It's really more longevity versus cost. And there's nice sustainable practices in concrete use too. Technologies that they use. So yeah, concrete has less bad stuff in it than asphalt does. But when the decision is to use asphalt, this product is really superior to our standard use. Let's see what else is there. There's another one. There's been discussion of using similar process for, oh yeah. Increasing the use increase the value of recycling. Okay, so increasing the use in roads would increase the value for the recycled material and make it more lucrative to recycle. That's an interesting point, and that's because we can't sell our recycled plastic to China anymore. The thought was that we would be able to source this stuff cheaply because the recyclers are in a bad spot right now. They don't have a market for their plastic. So the thought was, okay, we'll go in there and we'll take it off their hands, which you'd be able to get it for cheap because otherwise they just have to bury it or burn it. What they're finding out at least the initial talks is that the recyclers are saying, oh, yeah, we'll sell it to you. We want X amount of dollars. And they're asking for kind of a premium for stuff that they can't reuse. And so that negotiation hasn't gone as smoothly as we would like. I think when the market really shakes out, the price is going to come down. The selling point is going to come down. Right now, really, nobody's really sure how much to charge. One of the things about this plastic is it's not, I use the analogy of plastic water bottles just so you get an idea of the scope, but they're not really using PET. They're using plastic that is not easily reused. PVC pipe, that plastic, there's not a whole lot of uses for it. So the thought was, okay, we're gonna come in and we're going to provide a use. We're gonna provide a market for this waste plastic that has no other market. It should be cheap. And that hasn't quite been the solution so far. So that's why I can't give you an exact cost of it right now. It's still insignificant to the cost of the road, but we would expect that number to go down. Let's see, are there more here? Less off-gassing better for the health of employees working. Yeah, less off-gassing is better for the employees. You know, those guys that install asphalt just sort of expect it as part of their work, but I think they're appreciative when you got a project that just doesn't have that off-gassing. Any studies how concrete compares to plastic asphalt durability? Yeah, there again, concrete's going to last a lot longer. It's going to last, you know, decades, 25, 30, 40 years. Asphalt probably will not last so long. But concrete comes with a much higher cost, both for materials and for installation. So it's kind of a trade-off along those lines. I think that's all I see. Is there any other one? Anybody, any other questions that I missed? I know we're a little bit over, so I apologize for that. Okay, if there's nothing else, then I'll turn it back over to Jen. You can wrap things up for us.
Thanks, Gary.
Sure.
Yeah, I feel badly when we go over, but to me, that's always proof of a really good meeting. So thank you both. And we also did the introductions, which took a good amount of time, you know, trying to get around. So did anyone have any other questions for either Gary, Michelle, or for any of the any other people that are online? No? I think that the first week of July and the first Thursday might be the day before the 4th of July. I'm not looking at a calendar, but I think it might be. So I'm not sure exactly when our next general body meeting will be, but we will keep you updated. And as always, stay healthy, stay safe. And it's great seeing all of you. Thanks for coming today.
All right, thanks,
take care.
Jen. All right, see ya.
Thank you. Bye-bye.